Question 1. A California Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, is valid for how long from the date of issuance? A. 1 year. B. 2 years. C. 5 years. D. 10 years. Answer: C. 5 years. The California Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, demonstrates that an individual has passed a written test on firearm safety, which is generally required for purchasing or acquiring most firearms in California. This certificate is valid for a period of 5 years from its issue date, after which it must be renewed by retaking the test. Always be mindful of your FSC's expiration date to ensure continuous eligibility for firearm transactions. Question 2. Under California law, what is the minimum waiting period required before a firearm can be delivered to a purchaser after the DROS, dealer record of sale, is submitted? A. 5 calendar days. B. 10 calendar days. C. 15 business days. D. 30 calendar days. Answer: B. 10 calendar days. California law mandates a 10 calendar day waiting period, sometimes referred to as a cooling-off period, between the time a firearm purchase is initiated through the DROS system and when the firearm can actually be delivered to the buyer. This period applies to all firearm sales and transfers, allowing time for background checks to be completed and for individuals to reconsider their purchase. Understanding this waiting period is crucial for anyone planning to acquire a firearm in California. Question 3. Which of the following is always considered an unsafe practice when handling a firearm? A. Keeping your finger outside the trigger guard until ready to shoot. B. Pointing the muzzle in a safe direction. C. Relying solely on a firearm's mechanical safety device. D. Confirming the target and what is beyond it. Answer: C. Relying solely on a firearm's mechanical safety device. A firearm's mechanical safety device is merely a supplemental mechanism and should never be relied upon as the sole safeguard against accidental discharge. True firearm safety involves constant adherence to the fundamental rules, such as keeping the muzzle in a safe direction and the finger off the trigger. Always remember that a mechanical safety can fail or be accidentally disengaged, so always treat a firearm as if it can fire at any moment. Question 4. California law requires that all firearms sold by licensed dealers be accompanied by what specific safety device? A. A tamper-proof carrying case. B. A secure storage cabinet. C. A firearm safety device, FSD, such as a trigger lock or cable lock. D. A biometric lock. Answer: C. A firearm safety device, FSD, such as a trigger lock or cable lock. Under California law, all firearms sold or transferred by licensed firearm dealers must be accompanied by a California-approved firearm safety device, FSD, which typically includes trigger locks or cable locks. This requirement ensures that new firearm owners have immediate means to secure their newly acquired firearm, preventing unauthorized access and accidental discharge. Always ensure your firearms are secured with an FSD when not under your direct control to prevent tragedies. Question 5. If you loan a handgun to a friend for target practice at an established shooting range, what must be true under California law? A. The loan must be processed through a licensed firearm dealer, FFL. B. The friend must possess a valid California hunting license. C. The loan must not exceed 30 days and the friend must possess an FSC. D. The friend must be an immediate family member. Answer: C. The loan must not exceed 30 days and the friend must possess an FSC. California law allows for the temporary loan of a handgun to a friend for purposes like target practice, but specific conditions apply, including that the loan cannot exceed 30 days and the person receiving the loan must possess a valid firearm safety certificate, FSC. This exception is narrow and designed for responsible, temporary transfers among individuals who have demonstrated basic firearm safety knowledge. Always understand the legal requirements before lending or borrowing a firearm to avoid unlawful transfers. Question 6. A person is considered legally prohibited from possessing firearms in California if they have been convicted of which of the following offenses? A. A misdemeanor domestic violence offense. B. A traffic violation resulting in a fine. C. A single instance of public intoxication. D. A petty theft conviction without jail time. Answer: A. A misdemeanor domestic violence offense. A conviction for a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence legally prohibits an individual from possessing firearms in California for a period of 10 years, and for a lifetime under federal law. This prohibition highlights the seriousness with which California views domestic violence and its intersection with firearm ownership, aiming to prevent further harm. It's crucial for all firearm owners to understand that certain criminal convictions can result in the loss of firearm rights. Question 7. What is the primary purpose of the Safe Handling Demonstration (SDM) requirement at a licensed firearm dealership? A. To prove the firearm is in working condition. B. To demonstrate the purchaser's physical ability to operate the firearm safely. C. To ensure the salesperson is knowledgeable about the firearm. D. To confirm the buyer's knowledge of California's firearm laws. Answer: B. To demonstrate the purchaser's physical ability to operate the firearm safely. The Safe Handling Demonstration, SDM, is a crucial step in purchasing a handgun in California, requiring the buyer to physically demonstrate their ability to safely load, unload, and operate the firearm. This hands-on test ensures that the individual can safely manage the specific firearm they are acquiring, reducing the risk of accidental discharge due to unfamiliarity. Successfully completing the SDM is a practical way to show you are ready to handle your new firearm responsibly. Question 8. In California, if a firearm is lost or stolen, how soon must the owner report it to a local law enforcement agency? A. Within 24 hours of discovery. B. Within 48 hours of discovery. C. Within 5 business days of discovery. D. Within 10 calendar days of discovery. Answer: C. Within 5 business days of discovery. California law mandates that if a firearm is lost or stolen, the owner must report it to a local law enforcement agency within 5 business days of discovering the loss or theft. This requirement helps law enforcement track firearms that may be used in crimes and encourages owners to be vigilant about their firearm security. Promptly reporting a lost or stolen firearm is a critical responsibility that contributes to public safety. Question 9. Which of the following methods of transporting a handgun in a vehicle is generally legal for a non-prohibited person in California without a concealed carry permit? A. Loaded and concealed under the seat. B. Unloaded and locked in the glove compartment. C. Loaded and openly displayed on the dashboard. D. Unloaded and in a locked container, separate from ammunition. Answer: D. Unloaded and in a locked container, separate from ammunition. For a non-prohibited person without a concealed carry permit, transporting a handgun in a vehicle in California requires it to be unloaded and stored in a locked container, with the ammunition kept separately. This specific method ensures the firearm is not readily accessible for immediate use, reducing safety risks during transport. Always remember that merely placing a handgun in a glove compartment or under a seat without a lock is generally not sufficient to meet legal requirements. Question 10. When a firearm is stored in a home where a minor, under 18, could gain access, what is legally required in California? A. The firearm must be unloaded and stored in a locked container or secured with a trigger lock. B. The firearm must be unloaded, but a locked container is optional if an adult is always home. C. The firearm must be openly displayed to deter minors from touching it. D. The firearm must be loaded and readily accessible for self-defense. Answer: A. The firearm must be unloaded and stored in a locked container or secured with a trigger lock. California law, specifically penal code sections related to child safety, mandates that if a firearm is stored in a home where a minor could gain access, it must be unloaded and stored in a locked container or secured with a trigger/cable lock. This critical requirement aims to prevent accidental shootings and unauthorized access by children, emphasizing responsible firearm storage. Always prioritize securing your firearms to prevent tragic accidents involving minors. Question 11. Which of the following actions is a fundamental rule of firearms safety that applies at all times? A. Keeping the safety engaged until immediately prior to firing. B. Only loading a firearm when at the shooting range. C. Keeping your finger outside the trigger guard until your sights are on the target and you have decided to shoot. D. Confirming the firearm is unloaded by dry firing it. Answer: C. Keeping your finger outside the trigger guard until your sights are on the target and you have decided to shoot. The rule of keeping your finger outside the trigger guard until your sights are on the target and you have decided to shoot is a fundamental and non-negotiable principle of firearm safety. This practice prevents negligent discharges by ensuring that the trigger is only engaged when there is a conscious decision to fire. Never allow your finger to rest on the trigger if you are not prepared to immediately shoot, as this is a common cause of accidental shootings. Question 12. What is the primary reason for California's unsafe handgun roster? A. To ban all semi-automatic handguns. B. To ensure all handguns sold have specific safety features, such as a loaded chamber indicator and magazine disconnect mechanism. C. To limit the number of handgun models available for purchase in California. D. To prevent the sale of handguns that are too powerful for civilian use. Answer: B. To ensure all handguns sold have specific safety features, such as a loaded chamber indicator and magazine disconnect mechanism. California's unsafe handgun roster, officially known as the roster of handguns certified for sale, lists specific handgun models that licensed dealers can sell in the state. The primary purpose of this roster is to ensure that handguns sold in California possess certain safety features, including a loaded chamber indicator and a magazine disconnect mechanism, as well as meeting specific material and drop test standards. This regulation is intended to enhance handgun safety by mandating design features that prevent certain types of accidental discharges. Question 13. When purchasing ammunition in California, which of the following is required after January 1, 2025, or as part of current and upcoming regulations? A. A specific ammunition permit. B. A real-time eligibility check conducted by a licensed ammunition vendor. C. A waiting period of 24 hours. D. Proof of firearm ownership for the caliber being purchased. Answer: B. A real-time eligibility check conducted by a licensed ammunition vendor. As part of California's comprehensive ammunition regulations, effective July 1, 2019, and continuing with upcoming updates, all ammunition sales must be conducted through a licensed ammunition vendor who performs a real-time eligibility check. This check verifies the buyer is not prohibited from owning firearms, using records like the Department of Justice's Automated Firearms System (AFS) or a valid FSC. This process ensures that only eligible individuals can legally purchase ammunition in California. Question 14. What does the term constructive possession of an illegal firearm, e.g., an unregistered assault weapon, generally mean in California? A. Physically holding the firearm. B. Having the firearm located in your home, even if you are not present. C. Having the ability to exercise control over the firearm, even if it's not on your person. D. Having purchased the parts to assemble an illegal firearm. Answer: C. Having the ability to exercise control over the firearm, even if it's not on your person. In California, constructive possession refers to a legal principle where an individual is considered to possess an item if they have the ability to exercise control over it, even if they are not physically holding it. For example, if an illegal firearm is found in your car or home, and you have knowledge of its presence and the ability to control it, you could be charged with constructive possession. This concept is important for understanding liability related to prohibited items. Question 15. What is the Safe Storage Affidavit, SSA, required for handgun purchases in California? A. A document proving the buyer has a safe at home. B. A declaration by the buyer that they understand safe firearm storage laws. C. A waiver releasing the dealer from liability for improper storage. D. An agreement to register the safe with the Department of Justice. Answer: B. A declaration by the buyer that they understand safe firearm storage laws. The Safe Storage Affidavit, SSA, is a document required for handgun purchasers in California, where the buyer declares under penalty of perjury that they understand the laws regarding safe firearm storage and access by children. This affidavit reinforces the importance of responsible storage and ensures buyers are informed of their legal obligations to secure firearms in their homes. Understanding and adhering to safe storage practices is fundamental to preventing accidents and unauthorized use. Question 16. What is the maximum magazine capacity generally permitted for newly acquired firearms in California, with some narrow exceptions? A. 5 rounds. B. 10 rounds. C. 15 rounds. D. 30 rounds. Answer: B. 10 rounds. In California, the general maximum magazine capacity for newly acquired firearms is 10 rounds, with severe restrictions on the acquisition and possession of magazines capable of holding more than 10 rounds. This regulation is a key component of California's firearm laws aimed at limiting the potential for mass casualties. Always be aware of magazine capacity limits when purchasing or possessing firearms and related accessories in the state. Question 17. Which of the following scenarios describes a legal requirement for an individual to purchase a handgun in California? A. Being 18 years of age or older and having a valid hunting license. B. Being 21 years of age or older, possessing a valid FSC, and passing a background check. C. Being 21 years of age or older and having completed a firearms training course. D. Being 18 years of age or older and having no prior felony convictions. Answer: B. Being 21 years of age or older, possessing a valid FSC, and passing a background check. To purchase a handgun from a licensed dealer in California, an individual must be 21 years of age or older, possess a valid Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, and pass a thorough background check. These combined requirements ensure that handgun purchasers are of legal age, have demonstrated basic safety knowledge, and are not legally prohibited from owning firearms. Always be sure to meet all legal prerequisites before attempting to acquire a handgun. Question 18. What is the significance of the phrase, "assume all firearms are loaded," in firearm safety? A. It means you should always keep a loaded firearm for self-defense. B. It prevents complacency and promotes safe handling practices, even with firearms believed to be unloaded. C. It indicates that all firearms purchased in California come preloaded. D. It refers to the legal requirement for firearms to be loaded when stored. Answer: B. It prevents complacency and promotes safe handling practices, even with firearms believed to be unloaded. The fundamental safety rule to assume all firearms are loaded is a crucial mental discipline that prevents complacency and enforces rigorous safety practices. By treating every firearm as if it contains live ammunition, you will naturally adhere to other safety rules, such as keeping the muzzle in a safe direction and your finger off the trigger. This mindset is vital because many accidental discharges occur when someone mistakenly believes a firearm is unloaded. Question 19. California law permits a person to carry a loaded firearm in a public place under which of the following circumstances? A. Carrying a loaded firearm concealed, with a valid California Concealed Carry Weapon, CCW, license. B. Carrying a loaded firearm openly in a holster, for self-defense. C. Carrying a loaded firearm in a locked container in a backpack. D. carrying a loaded firearm for hunting during an open season? Answer: A. Carrying a loaded firearm concealed, with a valid California Concealed Carry Weapon, CCW, license. In California, it is generally illegal to carry a loaded firearm in a public place or on the person, with one of the most significant exceptions being the possession of a valid California Concealed Carry Weapon, CCW, license. A CCW license permits the holder to carry a loaded and concealed handgun in public, subject to specific restrictions and conditions. Without a CCW license, carrying a loaded firearm in public is typically prohibited and can lead to serious legal consequences. Question 20. What is a microstamping requirement under California law for certain new semi-automatic pistols to be added to the roster of handguns certified for sale? A. A requirement for pistols to have a very small serial number. B. A technology that imprints a unique code on spent cartridge casings, identifying the firearm. C. A size restriction on semi-automatic pistols. D. A new safety feature that prevents accidental discharge. Answer: B. A technology that imprints a unique code on spent cartridge casings, identifying the firearm. Microstamping is a technology requirement under California law that, if fully implemented, would require new semi-automatic pistols added to the roster of handguns certified for sale to imprint a unique identifying code on spent cartridge casings. The intent is to aid law enforcement in tracing firearms used in crimes, though practical and legal challenges have significantly impacted its full implementation. This unique regulation highlights California's innovative, albeit often contentious, approach to firearm control. Question 21. If you are involved in an incident where you use a firearm for self-defense in California, what is one immediate and critical action you should take? A. Immediately store the firearm and leave the scene. B. Remain at the scene, secure the firearm, and call 911 to report the incident. C. Approach the other party to assess the situation further. D. Begin collecting evidence and witness statements. Answer: B. Remain at the scene, secure the firearm, and call 911 to report the incident. In a self-defense incident involving a firearm, it is critical to remain at the scene, ensure the firearm is secured, and immediately call 911 to report the situation to law enforcement. Do not leave the scene or tamper with evidence. Clearly and calmly state that you were in fear for your life and acted in self-defense. Cooperating with authorities while preserving your rights is paramount in such a stressful and legally complex situation. Question 22. What does the term assault weapon refer to under California law? A. Any firearm used in an assault. B. Specific categories of semi-automatic firearms with certain features, legally defined and often requiring registration or being banned from sale. C. Fully automatic firearms. D. Any firearm capable of firing more than 10 rounds. Answer: B. Specific categories of semi-automatic firearms with certain features, legally defined and often requiring registration or being banned from sale. Under California law, assault weapon is a strictly defined legal term that refers to specific categories of semi-automatic firearms, both rifles and pistols, possessing certain cosmetic or functional features deemed problematic. These definitions are complex and have evolved over time, often leading to requirements for registration, modifications, like featureless builds or outright bans on their sale and transfer. It is crucial to understand that an assault weapon is a legal classification, not a descriptor of a firearm's inherent dangerousness. Question 23. What is the minimum age to purchase a rifle or shotgun from a licensed dealer in California as of recent law changes? A. 18 years old. B. 21 years old. C. 16 years old with parental consent. D. Any age if you have a valid hunting license. Answer: B. 21 years old. As of recent California law changes, generally effective January 1, 2019, the minimum age to purchase any firearm, including rifles and shotguns, from a licensed dealer is 21 years old. While there were limited exceptions for individuals 18 to 20 with a valid hunting license, these have also been largely challenged or superseded. Always verify the most current regulations, but assume 21 is the standard minimum age for all firearm purchases from a dealer. Question 24. A person who is legally prohibited from possessing firearms may not do which of the following? A. Possess firearms in their home only. B. Have constructive possession of firearms. C. Possess ammunition. D. All of the above. Answer: D. All of the above. A person legally prohibited from possessing firearms, due to a felony conviction, certain misdemeanor convictions, or mental health adjudications, is generally forbidden from possessing firearms in any capacity, whether in their home, on their person, or even having constructive possession. Furthermore, state and federal laws also prohibit such individuals from possessing ammunition. This comprehensive prohibition aims to prevent dangerous individuals from accessing any means to commit firearm-related harm. Question 25. What is the primary safety purpose of using eye and ear protection when shooting? A. To improve accuracy. B. To prevent hearing loss and eye injury from projectiles, hot brass, or gas. C. To keep dust out of the eyes and ears. D. To comply with range rules, but not necessarily for safety. Answer: B. To prevent hearing loss and eye injury from projectiles, hot brass, or gas. Eye and ear protection are absolutely essential safety gear when shooting, as they prevent permanent hearing loss from the loud noise of gunfire and protect eyes from dangerous projectiles, hot brass casings, or gas blowback. The intense concussive sound waves can cause irreparable damage to eardrums, and flying debris can lead to serious eye injuries. Always wear appropriate personal protective equipment every time you are at the shooting range. Question 26. Under California law, what is the longest an individual can remain in the DROS system, background check, without completing the transaction? A. 10 days. B. 20 days. C. 30 days. D. 45 days. Answer: C. 30 days. Once a dealer record of sale, DROS, is initiated for a firearm purchase in California, the buyer has 30 calendar days from the date of submission to complete the transaction and take delivery of the firearm, assuming they clear the 10-day waiting period. If the firearm is not picked up within this 30-day window, the DROS expires, and a new DROS application and fee would be required to proceed with the purchase. This time limit ensures timely completion of transactions. Question 27. When storing a firearm at home, why is it important to store ammunition separately from the firearm itself? A. To make the firearm lighter and easier to move. B. To prevent unauthorized individuals, especially children, from being able to load and fire the weapon. C. It is a legal requirement for all firearm types in California. D. To keep the ammunition fresh and untainted. Answer: B. To prevent unauthorized individuals, especially children, from being able to load and fire the weapon. Storing ammunition separately from a firearm, especially when the firearm is secured, is a critical safety practice that adds another layer of protection against unauthorized use or accidental discharge. This separation prevents someone, particularly a curious child or an intruder, from quickly loading and firing the weapon even if they gain access to the firearm itself. Always secure both your firearms and ammunition separately to maximize safety in your home. Question 28. Which of the following is true regarding California's restrictions on large-capacity magazines, holding more than 10 rounds? A. They can be legally purchased by anyone with an FSC. B. They are generally illegal to import, manufacture, sell, or loan, with very limited exceptions. C. They are only restricted if they are for a handgun. D. they are legal if they were owned before the ban. Answer, B, they are generally illegal to import, manufacture, sell, or loan, with very limited exceptions. California has some of the most stringent laws regarding large-capacity magazines, generally making it illegal to import, manufacture, sell, or loan magazines capable of holding more than 10 rounds, with very narrow exceptions for law enforcement or specific permit holders. While there was a brief period when some could be acquired, the law currently prohibits most individuals from acquiring or even possessing such magazines. Always stay informed about the evolving and strict regulations on magazine capacity in California. Question 29. A safe handgun roster handgun is one that A. is made of specific materials to prevent corrosion. B. has been tested and certified by the California Department of Justice for meeting specific safety requirements. C. is a non-semi-automatic handgun. D. can be legally carried concealed without a permit. Answer, B, has been tested and certified by the California Department of Justice for meeting specific safety requirements. A safe handgun roster, handgun, more formally known as a handgun on the roster of handguns certified for sale, is a model that has undergone specific testing and certification by the California Department of Justice. This certification confirms that the handgun meets various safety requirements, such as passing drop safety tests and possessing certain design features like a loaded chamber indicator and magazine disconnect mechanism. Only handguns on this roster can generally be sold by licensed dealers to the public in California. Question 30. What is the primary purpose of the Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC? A. To register all firearms with the state of California. B. To demonstrate knowledge of basic firearm safety laws and practices required to acquire firearms. C. To act as a permit to carry a concealed firearm. D. To certify that an individual has completed advanced tactical training. Answer, B. To demonstrate knowledge of basic firearm safety laws and practices required to acquire firearms. The primary purpose of the California Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, is to ensure that individuals seeking to purchase or acquire most firearms in the state have demonstrated a fundamental understanding of firearm safety laws and safe handling practices. By passing a written test, certificate holders show they possess the basic knowledge necessary for responsible firearm ownership. Obtaining an FSC is a prerequisite for most firearm transactions with a licensed dealer. Question 31. Under California law, when can a parent or guardian allow a minor, under 18, to possess a handgun? A. Only if the minor has a valid hunting license. B. If the minor is under the direct supervision of a parent, guardian, or an adult with a valid CCW, at a shooting range or similar lawful activity. C. Never, minors are completely prohibited from possessing handguns. D. If the handgun is unloaded and stored in the minor's room. Answer, B. If the minor is under the direct supervision of a parent, guardian, or an adult with a valid CCW, at a shooting range or similar lawful activity. California law generally prohibits minors from possessing handguns, but there are specific exceptions, such as when the minor is under the direct supervision of a parent, guardian, or an adult with a valid concealed carry weapon, CCW, permit, while engaged in a lawful activity like target shooting at an established range. These exceptions are carefully delineated to allow for supervised training and sporting activities while maintaining strict controls over minor access to handguns. Always ensure legal supervision is present when a minor handles a handgun. Question 32. What is an immediate indication that a firearm may be loaded and requires extreme caution? A. It feels heavy. B. The magazine is inserted. C. The safety is engaged. D. It is in a locked container. Answer, B. The magazine is inserted. The presence of a magazine inserted into a firearm is an immediate and strong indication that the firearm could be loaded, prompting the highest level of caution. While a firearm might still be unloaded even with a magazine inserted, this visual clue should always trigger strict adherence to all safety rules, including keeping the muzzle in a safe direction and your finger off the trigger, until you have personally verified its condition. Always confirm the chamber is empty, regardless of the magazine's presence. Question 33. Which of the following is not an acceptable form of identification for a DROS transaction in California? A. A current California driver's license or ID card. B. A U.S. military ID with permanent duty station orders in California. C. A foreign passport with an unexpired visa and a valid California hunting license. D. An expired California driver's license or ID card. Answer: D. An expired California driver's license or ID card. For a DROS transaction in California, the primary form of identification, typically a California driver's license or ID card, must be current and unexpired. An expired ID card is not an acceptable form of identification for firearm purchases, as it does not sufficiently establish current residency and identity as required by law. Always ensure all your identification documents are valid and up to date before attempting a firearm purchase. Question 34. California law generally prohibits the sale of lead ammunition for hunting. What type of ammunition is now required for hunting in California? A. Frangible ammunition. B. Solid copper ammunition. C. Non-lead ammunition. D. Jacketed hollow point ammunition. Answer: C. Non-lead ammunition. California law has implemented a statewide ban on the use of lead ammunition for all hunting purposes, requiring hunters to use non-lead ammunition. This regulation, fully phased in by July 1, 2019, aims to protect wildlife from lead poisoning, which can occur when animals scavenge on carcasses or fragments left behind. Hunters must use only non-lead projectiles when pursuing game in California to comply with environmental protection efforts. Question 35. When dry firing a handgun at home for practice, what is the most important safety precaution to take? A. Ensure you are wearing ear protection. B. Use a laser training cartridge. C. Triple check that the firearm is unloaded and pointed in a safe direction, free of any live ammunition in the room. D. Perform the practice in a brightly lit room. Answer: C. Triple check that the firearm is unloaded and pointed in a safe direction, free of any live ammunition in the room. The absolute most important safety precaution when dry firing a handgun at home is to meticulously confirm that the firearm is completely unloaded and pointed in a safe direction, while also ensuring that no live ammunition is present in the same room. A single live round mistakenly introduced can turn a practice session into a tragic accident. Always make a conscious effort to separate live ammunition from your dry fire practice area to prevent any possibility of a negligent discharge.